7 Nightly News with Gary Wilkinson.
Our dollar gains a little ground, but is still the victim of a worldwide slump. Labour buoyed by the response to its tax package. And tennis great Rod Laver out of hospital a month after suffering a stroke. Good evening. A roller coaster ride for our dollar today. After crashing to an historic low, it's bouncing back in trading in London tonight. It's almost 1.5 cents higher than its rock bottom low of 55.3 US cents. But world financial markets are still in turmoil, watching Russia's economic meltdown. And now Hong Kong has added to Asia's woes, officially sliding into recession. It all means more tough times for our dollar and for our economy.
In Moscow, a run on the banks. People desperate to swap rubles for strong currencies like American dollars. But some banks have run out. With President Boris Yeltsin denying he's about to quit, Russian stocks fell 17% across the board. The effects are being felt everywhere. The London market hit hard overnight, their index down more than 3%. Traders are worried Yeltsin will flood the market with gold to raise cash. In Germany, nervous bankers have a massive exposure to Russian debt. The fear spread to Wall Street, where the Dow Jones sank more than 4%. Canada lifted interest rates to defend its dollar in vain, while the Mexican peso also plunged. As we slept, our dollar took another belting, falling to a record low of 55.3 US cents. Acting at our request, the US Federal Reserve bought nearly 200 million Australian dollars to stop the slide. It's worked, at least for now. But our stock market fell again. The All Ordinaries dropped sharply at the opening but recovered to close 44 points lower. That's down 1%.
If anyone thinks that you can withdraw from the globe, they're wrong.
The banking sector says it's too early to rule out interest rate rises.
We don't know yet, and that depends on whether the Australian dollar continues to slide, whether it stabilises, or whether in fact it might go back up again.
Some of our biggest companies have already been hit hard. Share prices have plummeted in the last week. AMP's lost 800 million off its market worth, BHP 1.6 billion, and the Commonwealth Bank down 500 million. But don't panic yet, because our economy's in reasonably good shape. Most Asian nations are in recession. Unlike our neighbours, we have growth, low inflation and a relatively low unemployment. Heather Wellard, 7 Nightly News.
And just when it looked as though Boris Yeltsin was missing in action, the Russian president turned up for work in Moscow this evening. He welcomed a Bulgarian leader to the Kremlin, although commentators said his appearance was really aimed at reassuring the financial world that someone is in charge in Russia. To prove the point, he sacked reformer Anatoly Chubais from his job as a special financial ambassador. In the meantime, Viktor Chernomyrdin, the Prime Minister Yeltsin sacked and then reinstated, hopes to be sworn into office again next week. Well, the turmoil overseas knocked 100 points off the Australian share market early today, but it managed to claw back part of that in afternoon trading. And in trading in London tonight, our dollar is on the mend at 56.75 US cents. That's equivalent to 81 yen or 34p. The US dollar buying 1.78 Deutschmarks. Locally, the All Ordinaries finished the day 44 points lower, a fair result considering the 357-point plunge on Wall Street. While most stocks were falling, Telstra gained 5 cents, AMP 61 and Caltex 8. The National Bank, though, dropped 65 cents, News Corp 36 and BHP 42 cents. Gold, hit by the Russian crisis, has dived to $274.50 US dollars an ounce. The London FT 100 index is down in trading tonight. Tokyo's Nikkei finished the day almost 500 points lower, and in Hong Kong, the Hang Seng lost 93 points. Our falling dollar will be a major headache for Labour and the coalition as they prepare for an election campaign. Labour remains confident it can win back the battlers at a federal election and was today pleased with the reaction to its tax policy.
Kim Beazley was in Brisbane with what he believes are his two best assets, his tax package and Cheryl Curnow.
What the Labor Party will do for a family like me, new tax package.
About $57 a week extra, and on the government's package you'd be on 19.
But it's now the worsening global economic outlook that's dominating the tax debate. John Howard says it makes the GST more essential than ever. Mr Beazley says it's simply too risky.
That would be sitting there like a great black cloud in the middle of the Australian economy.
We've got to reform our taxation system.
The debate is also about whose package is fairer. The Coalition's plan gives maximum benefits to people on $30,000 to $35,000 a year. But there are also big gains for those on $75,000 plus. Labor gives its maximum benefit to those earning between $30,000 and $50,000, with hardly anything for higher earners.
This new envy threshold, that a combined income of $45,000 to $50,000 a year is rich, is unbelievable.
Late today, Mr Howard was at home in Sydney pondering whether to call an election this weekend. Kim Beazley throwing down the gauntlet.
If you don't call it this weekend, stop the speculation, come out and say you'll serve your full term.
In Canberra, Glenn Mellon, 7 Nightly News.
Thousands of students across the country, some as young as 7, marched through our capital cities today protesting against racism. They came from primary, high schools and universities. In Sydney, marching through the streets to the Prime Minister's office. Calling Pauline Hanson and the Howard government racist, the students set fire to copies of the government's immigration policy and to posters of the One Nation leader. Well, Sydney residents have been told to keep boiling their tap water. The contamination alert has now extended to the lower Blue Mountains west of the city, and there is no word yet on when the crisis might end.
Our water crisis is getting worse, and it seems there's no solution in sight. More people are being told to boil their water. More experts are trying to figure out why, but no one has any answers.
I don't know that I can comment on that in detail. I think perhaps Ron Quill would be better.
I think we did move out to Ron Quill.
Sydney Water's technical man didn't mince his words.
This is just almost beyond belief as far as we're concerned.
But when will it end?
I wouldn't like to hazard a guess when that answer might be.
As guards manned the Prospect filtration plant, the American experts kept a low profile. A test done this morning found no Giardia or cryptosporidium. 2 more results like that and we're in the clear. Then again, it could get worse. The water alert now includes Penrith and the lower Blue Mountains and anyone living in these postcodes. These suburbs have as many as 2,000 oxysts per 100 litres in their water. A year ago, there were none. Some experts say our recent heavy rainfalls have washed even more animal feces into the catchment area and sent cryptosporidium levels sky high. But why it's happening now when it doesn't seem to have happened before, well, that's what they're trying to figure out. Don't hold your breath for answers.
We expect an answer on that within the next week or so.
Okay. I'm a little confused now. Let's stop there.
Joanna Rouse, 7 Nightly News.
Friends, family and complete strangers turned out today to farewell a Sydney truck driver. Father of 2, Mark Evans, was killed when a rock was dropped onto his rig from a freeway overpass. Even people who didn't know him joined his young family to say goodbye.
Think of him still as the same and say, he's not dead, he's just away.
His widow, DeWita, says the widespread support has restored her faith in humanity. 2 adults and 2 teenagers have been charged with Mr. Evans' murder. Tennis legend Rod Laver is out of hospital and back home in California tonight, where he'll continue recuperating from the stroke that he suffered last month. His doctors are confident the 60-year-old Grand Slam champ is on the road to complete recovery.
For those who remember his greatness, a tragic sight. Tennis legend Rod Laver wheeling himself to a press conference. But after what he's been through, also a moment of hope.
Thanks for coming along.
Thank you.
I'm just happy to be out.
A month after being admitted with a stroke, Laver, the doctors say, is on the mend. But months, possibly a year of physiotherapy will be required to get him back to something approaching his old self.
You might be asking a bit too much for another Grand Slam, but I think he's going to play again. That's my prediction.
And as if to make the point, a spontaneous game of catch, with the hand most affected by the stroke.
We're going to take a rest. Ready to catch? Sure. Right hand. So that's all his work.
Laver was struck down shortly before a television interview on July 27th. He knew immediately something was wrong.
Well, I didn't realize what I was happening at that stage, so I was very fortunate that I was just across the road from this hospital that allowed me to, I guess, get here.
At his best, Rod Laver was virtually unbeatable on the tennis court. He says the stroke is yet another opponent he intends to overcome as well. In Los Angeles, Michael Gleason, 7 Nightly News.
And more to come in the news tonight, including warnings that a sexual predator is targeting Melbourne schools. Plus, the changing face of the royal family. A Melbourne woman has been given permission to set up Victoria's first Jewish-only dating agency. Anne Ivami Phillips won her case with the Civil and Administrative Tribunal after claiming an introduction agency would serve a vital role in the Jewish community. The ruling gives Mrs. Ivami Phillips an exemption under anti-discrimination laws, allowing her to ask potential clients if they are Jewish.
This is a pleasing result, and it illustrates the true multicultural atmosphere that people of different cultures and backgrounds can enjoy in Australia.
The hunt for a man stalking young schoolchildren continues in Melbourne. His latest targets, 2 little girls at a suburban primary school. This afternoon, a man fitting the description fled when he was confronted near a second school in the city's southeast.
One of the little girls grabbed in the toilet block of her primary school who managed to escape the serial sexual predator. She and a friend, both in grade 3, were startled by a man in cubicles at the back of the main building shortly after 9 o'clock.
Tried to grab her. She has resisted, broken free, and from there, he's then tried to grab the other girl, who was then resisted.
The attacker then fled across a back oval. Worried parents began arriving soon after to check their own children were unharmed.
I want to see my little girl. The kids are not safe, and we're really concerned about it. I mean, he has to be caught.
Police released these photo fits of the wanted man from descriptions supplied by one of the girls who was attacked today and by a boy on work experience who has seen him loitering near the school. It's the 5th similar attack in 3 weeks. Other schools targeted at Dandenong West, nearby Noble Park, at Narre Warren and Berwick. In all but one incident, the victims have been little girls, all aged about 6 and all startled while going to the toilet during class time. Detectives warn the chances of this man reoffending are high and are urging all schools in the area to be vigilant. Schools have been contacted and urged to check their safety procedures.
I believe that we have in place the most adequate security that we can provide, and that security is working.
Emma Power, 7 Nightly News.
America's Hurricane Bonnie has been downgraded to a tropical storm. North Carolina escaping with relatively minor damage. But a different story in Japan, where at least 13 people have died in floods brought on by Tropical Storm Rex. North of Tokyo, rivers burst their banks, washing out bridges and roads. Tens of thousands of people have been told to evacuate their homes. Dozens of people are still missing, feared drowned. On Monday, it will be a year since Princess Diana, her companion Dodi Fayed and their driver Henri Paul were killed in that car crash in a Paris tunnel. It was an event that shook the world and some say changed the royal family forever. But others are now questioning the sincerity of that change.
The Queen's last official engagement before her summer break took her to a kitchen shop in Cheshire. The unfamiliar sight of the monarch amongst washing up bowls and plastic vases made another novel photo opportunity. In recent months, we've seen the Queen strategically placed outside McDonald's. We've witnessed her first visit to a pub, though she resisted a drink. And we saw her throw a star-studded party at Windsor Castle, while Prince Charles allowed himself to be chatted up by the Spice Girls. Was it all just clever public relations, or a symbol of real change? After Diana's death, the Queen followed up her promise that lessons must be learned by commissioning a survey, which showed that the royal family were considered out of touch and badly advised. But in 10 days' time, a new report from the left-wing think tank Demos will say that what we've seen since Diana's death is little more than sharp PR.
We don't think that that's going to be much of a long-term solution for the monarchy. For a couple of years, because it's novel, people will say, well, that's nice, it's good they're doing that. But they'll soon get used to it.
The think tank's view is that to survive, the monarchy must emulate the princess by concentrating on an active, symbolic role with few constitutional powers. Diana's death has plunged Prince Charles into the stark reality of single parenthood. Ironically, from the despair and guilt he felt after the princess's death, he has emerged with his image much softened and his popularity higher than it's been for many years.
All today's sport after the break, including league and a top-of-the-table clash in AFL. Also, golfer John Daly breaks down in the Vancouver Open. An AFL thriller at the MCG tonight between North Melbourne and the Western Bulldogs. Now, some people in some places haven't yet seen the match, so if you don't want to know the score, just look elsewhere for a moment. In what could well have been a grand final preview, the two top teams slugged it out, the lead seesawing in a tense final term.
A fitting end to the home and away season. North Melbourne and the Western Bulldogs doing battle for the minor premiership.
Michael kicked the first goal.
While North got the first goal, it was the Bulldogs who had the better of the first term, with their relentless pressure paying off. Hudson kicking 2 of their 4 goals for the term.
He's a beautiful finisher, left foot, and he's goal.
Carey was constantly collared, both teams fierce at the ball.
They'll give no quarter at all.
But eventually the King cut loose. 2 goals in 2 minutes, putting the Roos in front.
In goes Carey for his second goal in a minute.
They weren't there for long, though. 4 Bulldog goals, 2 coming from free kicks, gave them a 22-point lead at half-time.
Hudson to kick his third, and they're going to stretch it now.
Harvey sparked the Roos in the third quarter, booting 2 and helping them back to within 2 points.
Harvey kicks, and Harvey has put it through.
But in a match befitting a final, the Doggies responded with a couple of their own.
It's Stephen Collingwood that gets the Bulldogs' 9th goal.
Only to see momentum swing back North Melbourne's way late in the quarter.
Croft, Darcy, goal is kicked. Matthew Capuano for North Melbourne.
The last quarter was an arm wrestle, the two teams going goal for goal.
Carey at the back. It's a goal, I think.
A late bump from Cook saw him reported, and Robert Scott tie up the scores.
And Scott gets the goal.
Fans settling in for a heart-stopping finish. Des Dowling, 7 Nightly News.
In the first of the National Rugby League playoffs tonight, Canberra has ended Manly's season and possibly the career of Sea Eagles veteran Cliff Lyons. The Raiders put a bad start behind them to score 3 tries to 1 in their 17-4 victory.
A former Kangaroo coach and a captain now opposed and fighting for survival at club level. And it was Mal Meninga's Canberra side that succumbed in the opening minutes after several unforced errors.
Hill is around Pearson for the corner. He's home singing ragtime.
Raiders' response didn't come till the 25th minute. Ricky Stewart, the engineer.
Stewart, lovely long pass, and Pearson is over and in for the try.
Stewart and Canberra captain David Fern are working in tandem to put the home side further ahead.
Pass for Mullins to score.
10-4 in front, the Raiders lost Brad Clyde just before the break after a head clash with Nick Kossev.
Sickening blow there to Bradley Clyde.
Clyde was severely concussed and is in doubt for next week. A sad end for his career in Canberra colours at Bruce Stadium, but it couldn't have been better for Ricky Stewart, whose reverse kick secured the win.
Depends here, Pete, if he forces it or not. It's a try, all right.
Craig Field's frustration giving away another 2 points. Stewart completed the job with a field goal.
Got a bad pass, gets the shot away. It's good. There's another point for Canberra.
Paul Gregg, 7 Nightly News.
In rugby union, Jason Little will return to his favoured outside centre position for tomorrow night's test against the All Blacks after Dan Herbert was today ruled out with a hamstring injury. And as Gordon Bray reports, winger Ben Tune will play, while Andrew Blades must undergo further fitness checks in the morning.
He's 33 today, but birthday boy Dan Crowley is hopeful his present will come tomorrow night with an all-black whitewash.
I'll be very happy if we get away with a win. Yeah, it's going to be a tough game.
The Wallabies' injury crisis almost worsened at this morning's press conference. A decision on prop Andrew Blades will be made tomorrow, with Kiwi-born Glenn Panaho on standby. Winger Ben Tune will play, but Dan Herbert has been ruled out, reuniting the celebrated Horan-Little centre combination.
Yeah, it's good to see them back together again. He's been with the team, obviously, since the start, and he's been playing well. I'm sure he won't let us down.
I rate Horan and Little as potentially still the best, or among the best midfield pairings in the world.
For New Zealand, it's been a forgettable season, but they're desperate to salvage some pride and avoid a 5th consecutive loss.
It's the last game of the season for the All Blacks, and it's very important that we go out there and play well.
The home ground advantage is a big plus for the Wallabies and may well counterbalance all of the injury problems. Gordon Bray, 7 Nightly News.
Troubled golfer Long John Daly has broken down and cried during his opening round at the Great Vancouver Open. His extraordinary public display came on the 15th. He began shaking visibly as he walked round the green, tears rolling down his face before controlling himself to putt. and then immediately dropping the club. His playing partners tried to comfort the golfer, who's had an ongoing battle with alcoholism. Despite the attack of the jitters, Daly managed to par the 15th and even went on to birdie the 16th. And still on golf, Australia's Craig Parry is in contention after the first round of the prestigious World Series of Golf Championship in Ohio. Parry shot a 3-under par 67 to be tied for second place with Tiger Woods, a stroke behind American Phil Mickelson.
After Craig Parry set the early pace, several high-credentialed players started the chase. Tiger Woods joining Parry on 3-under with this approach at the final hole. I didn't have a hard. But the man they've got to catch is Mickelson, who displayed exquisite touch around the green.
Oh, I think he was aiming it there.
Over on Long Island, Patrick Rafter continued his great recent form by moving into the quarterfinals of the Hamlet Cup, bouncing Czech Martin Dam in straight sets. Rafter's 6-4, 6-3 win sets up a meeting with Australian Open semi-finalist Nicholas Escude. And Caulfield Cup Melbourne Cup winner Myton Power has won the Horse of the Year award.
The first time in the history of this award, there has not been a vote for any other nomination.
In a rare interview, trainer Jack Denham revealed his thoughts after the horse was far from impressive in his first start with him.
Well, the first day I produced him, John, I thought he was unbeatable in the 1900 race at Canterbury, and he only just fell in and he won by a head. And my words was, the bludger's not much good.
Out of the national weather, and on the satellite map, rain clouds over Queensland are moving out to sea, while the cloud band over the Bight is drifting to the southeast. The high over southeastern Australia will bring mostly fine weather to the eastern states, except for coastal and central Queensland. Now, the outlook: showers for Cairns, 28 degrees, Bundaberg rain and 23, sunshine in Mount Isa, showers and 22 for Brisbane. Wet along the New South Wales north coast, but sunny just about everywhere else in the state. Blue skies and 19 for Sydney, Canberra clear, 17. Fine after morning fogs for Victoria, a great outdoors day for Melbourne, 21 degrees. Across Bass Strait, showers and 15 in Hobart, 15 also for Launceston. Fine and sunny for South Australia, Adelaide expecting a top temperature of 22 degrees, Whyalla 23, some cloud for Mount Gambier and 17 degrees. Showers, 19 degrees for Perth, but a beautiful day. Again, 33 degrees on the beach in Broome. Darwin, full-on sunshine, a top temperature 32 degrees, and for the Alice, clear and 22 degrees. And that's all from the 7 Newsroom for now. Enjoy your weekend. I'm Gary Wilkinson. Good night.